Yes, today we have this Korg MicroKORG. This is around about 20 years old. This is an analog synthesizer. I'm not going to pretend I know everything about this synthesizer. I'm not a keyboard player. I just know that it makes some nice sounds. So let's try this out. Yeah, well, enough of that. There are plenty of videos online of people that can play the keyboard, and you can have a look at those. This one I've got, and it came with a problem, of course, and the issue is that just these two buttons, really. So these are program buttons that you select various programs, and there's actually 16, so there's 8, and then you press side B, and then you have another 8. But these last two buttons are not working. Now the lights work because if we go to the sequencer, there, we can see that they light up, but again they still don't press. So I'm hoping that it's just the switch itself. They feel like tactile switches, and hopefully it's just those and we can replace them. This might be useful to anyone who wants to open up one of these. I've opened up one of these in the past and it's not complicated, but there's a lot of bits to unscrew before the thing opens up. So you can use this as a little guide of how to get into it if you need to actually get to the circuit board in this. So yeah, let's get stuck into this. A full strip down of this unit is needed if you need to do any work on the circuit board at all. There are screws at the back here, this back panel. When we take this off, you'll see that it's just gives access to the underside of the circuit board. So if you need to take the circuit out or make any changes to the circuit, then you will need to strip the front as well, but I'll show you that. So first of all, we'll take this back panel off. Don't think there are screws in there, no. Plenty of screws, even just holding this plastic cover on. Does seem to be a lot of fixings on this keyboard. Luckily they're all visible though, there's none hidden under the feet. Right. Well, there is a cable under here connecting the battery compartment. There it is. That needs to come off. And that's the back cover off. So this leaves us with, like I said, the underside of the circuit board, which is this one, the main circuit board. This circuit is the keys themselves, so the key contacts are on this board. So in order to get this circuit board out, there are a number of screws around the edge. Also, we need to take out the screws holding the connectors into the back. And we'll need to disconnect these cables. But even when we've done all that, it still won't come out because it's held in by the top panel here. So next thing I'm going to do is take this off. So first of all, you can pull these knobs off. They just pull off. Well, most of them do. The smaller ones do. And this one does as well. Dusty under there. Now these ones, just to add complexity, have a little screw in the side there, a little hole, and there's a screw in the side, and that fixes this onto the spindle. So you need a small screwdriver to get that off. Undo the screw and then it just lifts off. Now these nuts here holding the potentiometers on, they need to come off as well. So you're going to need a pair of pliers or something, or a spanner to get these off. There's a nut and a washer. And last one here. I'm going to take this panel off as well. I'm not sure if this is needed to come off or not, but the advantage of taking this off is that the panel is then flat to give a polish. Where the buttons are and where the knobs are, you can see where it's cleaned, you don't get right around those buttons. So I always like to take this off and give it a clean. I appreciate this is probably a dull video. It's just me taking this thing apart so far. I normally speed up these videos where I'm just taking screws out, but in particular I wanted to show you what was involved in taking this apart, because it does have to be done this way, and if you need to get into one of these, then hopefully this is helping you out. Now this panel can now come off. This is quite a solid panel, this. It's quite a thick steel panel. It's pretty thick. But you see now, with that being flat, you can just get some polish on that and give that a good shine up before you put it back. Right, so that is everything from the top side. Let's come back in here. In fact, let's do the back panel next. It's the screws here and the screws here. It's just holding these connector blocks in. And you can go ahead and pull these knobs off as well. These are the volume controls. Okay, so we can take the wiring out. Just these connectors. And we've got some earthing straps at the side. That one, and then another one there, and finally we can take out the screws on that circuit board. Another earth strap here. I think that is it. So this should now lift out. Sometimes you have to wiggle these connectors at the back a little bit just to get them through the back panel. There we are. Okay, let's get rid of this box. And now we can get a look at the circuit. So these are our tactile buttons here. These are the two that I think have failed. So we can test that with a multimeter. So it's either the switch itself, which I'm hoping it is, or whatever this switch connects to, whichever logic circuit here, something's failed inside one of these ICs. I think this is the unlikely scenario. I think it's more likely to be the switch itself that's failed. But let's get a multimeter and test that. So I'm just going to switch this to continuity. That beeps when we have continuity. So let's try the contacts. Well, as you can see, that is working. So that's bad news. It means I need to follow this circuit and find out where these contacts go to. Let me just test this one. Yeah, that's good too. So it means that these switches are indeed okay. And what I'll need to do is follow this round and see where it goes. What I might do is try and get a service manual for this, and then that will make it easier. They'll have a schematic diagram, and I can come back and we can continue with this. This is the page from the service manual that shows the switches we're looking at. The ones we're interested in is 7 and 8. These are the two that are failing. I can see that they're multiplexed on this line and these lines. Other switches on the Korg share these multiplex lines, namely the bank select and edit page switches, and the relevant functions on those switches are working. The arpeggiator switch is also connected to that, and that works as well. So that means that the lines out from this multiplex line out to the relevant IC must be connected, otherwise these won't work. So we can rule out those two multiplex lines. So that leaves this multiplex line. Now this is shared with the other switches in that bank. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're all working. So that multiplex line, the red one there that goes to pin 7 on IC22 at the bottom, that must be working as well. Otherwise 1 to 6 wouldn't work. So I can only deduce from that, as 7 and 8 is the only pair that's not working, and that's at the top of that line, I can only deduce that that multiplex line is broken between pair 5 and 6 and pair 7 and 8. So let's check that out on the circuit. So these numbers here correspond to the switches on the other side. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, and so on down the line. 7 and 8 is our pair that's not working. We know that 5 and 6 work, 3 and 4 work, and all the rest below that work. So what I think has happened is there's a line connection problem between this diode and this diode. They don't look like diodes, they've got 3 legs, but it's 2 diodes in one package. So the cathode side of the diode is common on this leg, and then you've got the anode side to one switch, anode side to the other switch. So this via here that comes off from the common leg, this should connect to the common leg on the next diode, and should connect to the common leg on the next diode. If my predictions are right, then I don't think we're going to have continuity between these two legs. So let's try that. We're on continuity. And no continuity. If we try the next one along, so between pair 5 and 6 and 3 and 4, we've got continuity. So oddly, the line on the other side of the board between these 2 points is broken. So let's turn it over and let's have a look. Now the other side's hidden with these plastic covers, so let's just pop one of those off. Be careful because these are quite fragile. Let's take the next one off as well. Difficult to see because of the mask on the board. I'll just switch the other camera and you can have a look. So I've cleared some of the dust away, but it's quite difficult to see because of the mask here. But this is the via coming from the diode on switches 7 and 8. That's the common pin of that diode, and that should connect to this via here, which is the common side of that diode for switches 5 and 6. But yeah, it's difficult to see. I can't see any physical damage on the line. Perhaps it's the via itself that's failed. But I'm pretty sure, so it's this one here actually, and that one there. But that looks okay, that line. I suspect it's the via itself. I don't know why, but for some reason it's failed. Either this one or this one. I'm suspecting if I go to the other side and just solder a wire between the common of this diode and the common of this diode, I think this will start working again. But yeah, it's an odd one that I can't see any reason why that would have occurred. Let's just try cleaning it up a bit more. Let's try and zoom in a little bit. It's about as much as I can get on this camera, but that's the via there. But can't really tell with that mask on it. So I think I'll solder that up and we'll give this a quick try. We should be able to test this out of the box. I don't think we need to put it all back in before we can test it. So let's do that. Okay, that's the bridge wire in place. Let's give this a try. So I think we should just be able to plug the power into this. I don't think the other parts that we've disconnected are going to stop the main functions lighting up. So let's just plug this in. Just remember, this, if you're messing with these, this is not a standard barrel jack connector on the Korg. It's a center negative. So normally barrel jacks are center positive. These are center negative. So just remember that if you do connect it the wrong way, it does cause damage to some of the input components and can cause damage to the ICs as well if a surge gets in there. So yeah, let's plug this in. And fingers crossed. Aha! It is working. That's 7 and 8, so this is the pair that wasn't working to start with. That's good news. I mean, it's an odd fault. I seem to be picking up all these unusual little faults lately, but an easy fix. But as to why that's failed, I don't know. It looked to me like perhaps the via, because the line that I could see the trace on the board looked okay, but nevertheless, that has worked. So let me get all this back together and we'll come back at the end for a final test. It's all back together now. I didn't want to bore you with me putting it back together. It's an exact reverse of me taking it apart, basically, to put it back together. So you don't need to see that. But this is now working okay. does produce some odd sounds, this machine. And you've not just got these 16 programs and these dials here. So this dial is the program select, and then on each of these programs you get another 16 programs. But as well as that, you've got your envelope settings, and then also these dials here, these edit dials. These have this function here. All of these settings can be changed as well. So there's a great number of sounds you can get out of this machine. But yeah, I can't play it as such. So I just have a play with it. Let's see what programs we were missing on 7 and 8 that I haven't been able to get. So we start off with the trance setting, program 7. And program 8. And then we've got the B side as well, so we've got 15 and 16 when we press that. So there you have it. This is the repair done. It's the Korg MicroKORG, and yeah, it was an odd fault. That I don't know what happened. I mean, the rest of the board looked fine. Sometimes when you see broken vias or broken tracks, there's obvious evidence on the board that it's had a liquid ingress, or there's been some battery leak on the board and it's corroded some of the tracks. But the rest of the board looked fine. Just one of those things, I think. But the service manual helped. You know, anything like that, try and download the service manual, have a look at the schematic. It does make things easier to diagnose. But this one is now finished, and we're going to close the video there. So thanks for watching. If you've liked it, as always, please throw me a like, and I will see you on the next one.